Faces of Abortion is the only television program of its kind that shows the powerful, real-life stories of women, men, and families who have suffered the devastation of abortion. Faces of Abortion touches hearts and changes lives in over 125 nations. Faces of Abortion is a program that will help you with healing from the heart and hope for the future. You will be given practical steps for healing in your life and help to end the suffering of abortion.
So it just overwhelmed me. And I thought the only way to escape the pain was to take my life.
I had a fear that I wouldn't be able to have my own children.
It brings heartache. It brings hurt.
And I knew they were tearing my baby apart.
I remember the cold feeling of the room.
I remember laying there and I just said to myself that I will never forgive myself for what I'm doing.
I believe that my life was spared that night just so that I could be here right now and say abortion hurts women.
Welcome to Faces of Abortion. I'm your host, Cindy Collins, and again today I am with Alan Parker, who is president of the Justice Foundation, and Clayton Trotter, who is general counsel of the Justice Foundation. It's going to be an excellent show today, Alan, on how to start an abortion recovery program in your church.
That's right, Cindy. The devastation of abortion is incredibly widespread. It's in society and it's in the churches, even though some people don't like to admit it. And Pastor David Walker and his wife Shirley are going to talk to us about how they started one in their church and the impact. And Brenda and Dawn are also going to share about their abortions and their abortion ministries.
That's right, Alan. And now let's go ahead and hear Pastor David and Shirley Walker on how to start an abortion recovery program in your church and encouragement to pastors.
Hi, we are David and Shirley Walker from San Antonio, Texas, and we serve our Savior in the Alamo City Christian Fellowship here in San Antonio. And we are just so thankful for the ministry that God has raised up through Dawn Jackson, that has come to be known in our congregation and throughout this area as the Forgiven and Set Free ministry. We'd just kind of like to talk through a little bit of that pilgrimage with you. We have been just amazed to see what God has done in all of that.
Although David has been very vocal over the 20 years that he's pastored at Alamo City, that abortion is a sin and that abortion kills innocent children. And there have been attempts in the past that we've made to try to reach out to women who have had abortions. Those attempts had not been very effective until the Lord raised up Dawn within our congregation. And actually I have to backtrack a little bit and say that how we saw this come about at Alamo City was that the Lord laid a foundation where people could be honest about the places where they had struggled in the past. And that, in a lot of ways, started in our own lives. That as we became transparent with the places that we'd struggled, we saw people in our congregation who were starting to be willing to admit the secrets that they had in their closets. And Dawn was one of those who, out of a brave heart, shared the place of abortion in her past as a teenager, even though Dawn's in her mid-40s, a sin that she had committed and was carrying from her teenage years, she was willing to come forward, and her sharing of that had an impact on our congregation.
Something just broke open, and it really proved to us the truth, a further application of the truth in Revelation 12:11, where John says they overcame him, they overcame the devil by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They loved their lives, their reputations, not even unto death. we had tried to do a good job of saying throughout our women's ministry and everywhere we could, because we knew there were many women who had lived before they came to know Jesus. They had lived for themselves and had been caught up in the culture and the sins of the day. And yet we just, as Shirley said, we just couldn't get through on this matter of abortion. And I would feel as a pastor that I needed to couch the message in grace, but we felt that there would be something one-on-one, personal, that God would want to do using other servants of the Lord. And it absolutely, something just broke when Dawn and another young wife, Linda Bales, their testimonies were taped and they were edited, and there was about maybe about a 7 or 8 minute presentation one Sunday morning. We just took time on a Sunday morning, and they told their story. And they told how the Lord, through His grace and mercy, had worked a work of forgiveness and pardon and freedom in their lives. And you could just feel it throughout the congregation on that particular Sunday. And I'm telling you, that's been, I don't know how many years ago, 2 or 3 years, but there has been a marked difference throughout the congregation among the women and among men who were touched by abortion, were involved in abortion in some way or another, and how they have begun to step out of the shadows and come for ministry and for healing. One of the statistics that is very profound to us is that it is suggested that 1 out of every 3 women in the churches, not just in the population out yonder, but within the congregations, 1 out of every 3 has more than likely been affected by abortion. That is a huge chunk of our congregations across this land, and the Lord has used this to just draw them out, bring them forth. I think we need to say back to pastors, it just probably won't work if you just advertise a post-abortive class, or you preach strong messages saying we need to stand against it, and then we need to minister with grace to those who have been involved in abortion. Something will not happen, at least it was our testimony, until some of the ones who have been set free really are given a chance to declare that word of their testimony of what God has done and continues to do in their lives.
1 in 3 women in your congregation, which means 1 in 3 men in essence too, being affected by the ravages of the shame of past sin. Sin that has been addressed many times from the pulpit, but there's not been given the opportunity for that sin to be acknowledged, to be grieved, to be walked through. And as we have seen the women and the men in our congregation who have come in, it's almost been surprising to us as we've watched individuals that we've had the privilege to shepherd for years, and we've just seen in them an inability to embrace the Lord with their whole hearts, not realizing what was in their past. And as that's been dealt with, literally their countenances have changed.
Absolutely.
The freedom and the power of relationship that they walk in with Jesus Christ now is amazing. There is a message, a truth that comes from the life of a woman who has experienced abortion that speaks into the congregation the ravages that abortion causes that a pastor can never bring forth from the pulpit. And I believe that our country, the mindset and the mentality of abortion